Another round of questions for Jared Isaacman as he once again is trying to become the administrator of NASA. This Senate confirmation hearing lasted about 2 hours, and it was held by the U.S. Senate Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation. And if you guys will remember, we did this already back in April, but then Jared Isaacman's nomination was unexpectedly pulled. So here we are again, and the bottom line is it looks very hopeful that Jared Isaacman will not only be confirmed, but we could expect a vote from the committee by sometime next week. As it stands, senators have until business close December 4th to submit any final written questions for Jared Isaacman. And yes, this will be much faster than the first time around, but time is a wasting. As I've said, better late than never, but we could have had this done a long time ago, and NASA might not be in the pickle that it's in today.
The last time I sat before you, I introduced myself, my qualifications, and the challenges and opportunities ahead. This time I'm here with a message of urgency. After more than a half century, America is set to launch NASA astronauts around the moon in just a matter of months. This is a challenging endeavor, to say the least, and one that requires full-time leadership. Secretary Duffy, in his letter to this committee endorsing my nomination, emphasized this point. The message is shared by more than 46 other letters of support, including an online petition started by members of the NASA workforce and a letter from 36 NASA astronauts who, like me, have sat through anomaly investigations, launched and flight readiness reviews, and have accepted the risks of going to space and understand what is at stake. And I know it's not lost on anyone in this room that we are in a great competition with a rival that has the will and the means to challenge American exceptionalism across multiple domains, including in the high ground of space. This is not the time for delay, but a time for action. Because if we fall behind, if we make a mistake, we may never catch up, and the consequences could shift the balance of power here on Earth. This Congress, and specifically this committee, understand the urgency of the moment, placing a historic investment in human space exploration that President Trump signed in the One Big Beautiful Bill. It's now time for NASA and its partners to deliver. To that end, I want to assure you, senators, I'm not here for personal gain, to favor or enrich contractors, to close centers, or disrupt programs that are essential to completing America's objectives in space. If confirmed, I'm here to bring urgency and an extreme focus to the mission, to do all I can working with the best and brightest at NASA to lead humanity's efforts to unlock the secrets of the universe and ensure American leadership across the last great frontier.
To me, a couple of the themes here was one, that he's going to get confirmed, which is great. Two is this is going to be a battle that we're going to see work out over the next couple of years as Jared works as the administrator between old space and new space. And I think that's the underlying theme, of which on top of that rests the beat China and go to the moon kind of theme. So we're going to see Jared have, a lot of that interaction. And I hope that internally, both to NASA and within Congress, he gets the support he needs to be able to fight those battles, which we all know are coming.
Some of the highlights of the meeting: Jared Isaacman was asked once again if Elon Musk was in the room during his meeting with President Trump. And once again, this Senator, Mr. Markey, didn't get the answers that he was hoping for.
You may recounter that during your last nomination hearing, you refused to confirm whether Elon Musk, with whom you have deep personal and financial ties, was present at the meeting that then President-elect Trump offered you the job of NASA administrator. So I wanted to give you one more chance to set the record straight. Was Elon Musk in the meeting at Mar-a-Lago when President Trump offered you the job?
Senator, it's great to have a conversation again. I thought we really ran this one to ground last time, but what I will tell you, Senator, and I wish I had the opportunity to explain it further before, is my first interview with the president, I think I've had several opportunities since to re-engage, was in a ballroom type setting, Senator. There were dozens of people moving in and out that I would not say were in the meeting.
It's a very simple question. Was President Trump in the room when, was Elon Musk in the room when President Trump offered you the job?
Senator, my interview, my conversations with the president, and there were dozens of people moving in and out of the room, and I don't think it's fair to bring any of them into this matter.
So you once again, you're refusing to tell us whether Elon Musk was in the room that day. And that actually makes me think that Elon Musk was in the room that day, but that you understand that it's a clear conflict of interest that he was there. You're asking us to confirm you as the next NASA administrator, and SpaceX gets $15 billion from American taxpayers for its business with NASA. You also have multiple financial relationships with Elon Musk, including investments in SpaceX, a contract between his company Starlink and your payments company, and even more, you bought space flights from SpaceX. Mr. Isaacman, what was the value of these contracts for space flights with SpaceX?
Well, I mean, Senator, just to clarify on these points, I have no direct or indirect equity exposure to any aerospace company, including SpaceX. I have disclosed all of my financial ties to the ethics officials at NASA, as well as the Office of Government Ethics. They've generated an ethics letter. I fully intend to adhere to it. I more than acknowledge that I went to space twice with SpaceX, but I point out they're the only company capable of sending astronauts to and from space since the shuttle was retired. My relationship with them is no different than NASA's. In fact, if there was more than one company, I suspect I would have paid less.
So what was the value of the contracts for space flights with SpaceX?
I mean, Senator, I don't think it's lost on anyone that going to and from space is rather expensive. We never disclosed the.
Well, your financial paperwork suggests it was over $50 million. So was it 100 million? Was it 200 million?
Senator, we've never disclosed it other than the fact that we were able to raise substantially more than the cost of the mission for charitable causes like St. Jude.
So you won't tell us how much you paid the man who publicly campaigned for your nomination. Will you request that SpaceX release you?
They didn't give me a discount, Senator.
I appreciate that, but you were paying him. Will you request that SpaceX release you from the NDA so that you can provide the committee with this information?
Senator, I will commit to always work with the appropriate ethics professionals to make sure I'm, continuously in compliance with my ethics agreement.
Will you ask him to release you from the NDA so that you can provide that information?
I have no issue asking them to release me from non-disclosure, Senator.
Okay, that would be helpful. Mr. Isaacman, can you tell us, since President Trump initially withdrew your nomination, have you had any communication with Mr. Musk about the job of NASA administrator?
I have not, Senator.
You have not. So the American people actually deserve to know how much money you have spent personally on SpaceX, and whether the head of SpaceX and Starlink, Elon Musk, was personally involved in your nomination, because we're looking at conflicts of interest so big that they have their own center of gravity, and we just have to make sure that it's all out there and it's fully understood by the American people. And since your last nomination, we've received the president's 2026 budget request, which proposes a nearly 50% cut to NASA's science funding. Do you support President Trump's proposal to cut NASA's science funding in half?
Senator, I certainly support the president's goal of reducing the deficit and shrinking our national debt. Now, an awful lot has happened from the initial presidential budget request to the continuing resolution that we've been operating into the one big beautiful bill that has plussed up additional funding for NASA. So I would, if I'm confirmed, I'd love to get my arms around where we are presently at.
Well, a 50% cut to the NASA science budget is dramatic. And considering reports about your, quote, Project Athena plan for NASA, which literally banks on the decimation of our scientific abilities, among other things, this document calls for NASA to stop collecting its own data and instead set up a taxpayer-funded subscription service from private companies for their products, companies that will set their own price for data that NASA needs to function on an ongoing basis. Would Starlink or SpaceX be companies that NASA would potentially have to turn to obtain data?
Well, Senator, first of all, I think pretty much everything you just said there was not correct. What that draft document contemplated was working with commercial companies for certain types of Earth observation data, not SpaceX or Starlink. I think I specifically called out Planet and Black Sky as examples of companies that might be able to deliver Earth observation and climate science data at lower cost, specifically to free up resources for other planetary science missions that commercial companies are not capable of doing.
Well, I would say this, that the proposal, and this is the truth, the proposal would strip NASA for parts and instead transfer taxpayer funds directly to the bank accounts of Starlink and SpaceX, companies owned by the very same man who may or may not have been in the room when Trump offered you the job. And we're just going to have to keep a very close eye on what will unfold at NASA if you are confirmed.
This was probably the most dramatic moment of the entire thing, but really it was just a trap question and kind of a waste of time. And again, he was really pressed about his relationship with Elon Musk and SpaceX. Here's some of that exchange.
Congratulations on your nominations. Mr. Isaacman, welcome back to the committee. You were here before for this position, and as we all know, President Trump withdrew your nomination earlier, citing concerns with your, I believe, political donations to Democratic candidates. And in a July 6th post on Truth Social, the president also stated that it would be absolutely inappropriate for you to head NASA, given your close relationship with SpaceX CEO Elon Musk. Since that time, there have been additional reports that in the time between your nomination being pulled and now being renominated by the president, I think you've donated roughly $2 million to President Trump's super PAC. So based off this information, I'm concerned that the decision-making around this position may not have been about ensuring NASA has strong leadership to carry out its mandate. So could you please explain what happened to make President Trump reconsider the decision to pull your nomination, and what assurances you may have provided, if any, that your relationship with Elon Musk and SpaceX would not create a significant conflict of interest for you in this role?
Well, Senator, there's a lot there, so I will try and hit it all. If I miss anything, please ask me to correct. So first and foremost, I wouldn't even begin to want to speculate, why the president nominated me, withdrew it, and renominated me, other than to say I was grateful for the opportunity in the first place. It was an incredible experience. When the president pulled my nomination, he gifted me an extended summer vacation where I could take my kids on some adventures before they lose interest in me. And then I understand that he ran a competitive process and interviewed several candidates. I was grateful for consideration at the time and happy to be here now. In terms of donations, I think it was covered over the summer. I actually felt I had enough exposure to Washington and got over maybe some of the initial intimidation factors, so much so that I thought perhaps I would have a political career, maybe be able to contribute for all the right reasons. So it shouldn't be surprising that I supported the Republican Party. At the same time period, I probably made 30 times that amount in donations to charitable causes. With respect to Elon Musk, that question comes up. In fact, every story I see that writes about my nomination refers to the Musk ally or the Musk friend. It's funny that in a world where everybody has a phone with a camera on it, there are no pictures of us at dinner, at a bar, on an airplane, or on a yacht, because they don't exist. My relationship with Mr. Musk is the fact that I had led 2 missions to space at SpaceX, because it's the only organization that can send astronauts to and from space since the shuttle was retired. And in that respect, my relationship is no different than that of NASA.
Now, here's something. Look at these long lines of people coming to cover this and, of course, support Jared. Even Bill Nye, the science guy, was there with his bow tie, thanks to this video from Nick Sortor. And here is some exchange with Senator Maria Cantwell.
Secretary Duffy, as the acting, announced NASA would reopen to compete Artemis 3 human lander to ensure America would reach the lunar surface in 2028. You agree with that decision, and will you fully commit to this recompetition?
Well, Senator, both SpaceX and Blue Origin were already awarded contracts through a competitive process to build the lander, and I don't think it was lost on either one of those organizations that the first company that is capable of delivering a lander to take American astronauts to the lunar surface and back is the one that this nation is going to go with. I think that competition is fantastic. I think the best thing for SpaceX is a Blue Origin right on their heels and vice versa.
Great. Well, we're glad they recompeted, and when I first became ranking member of the committee, we argued for the redundancy of competition. There's nothing like competition to get the product that we need. And I think the decision that was made was based on the urgency to return by 2028. So you believe in that process?
Senator, I absolutely agree with competition. I think we need competition for the vendors that support NASA's critical mission. I think competition among world powers is actually a really good thing, just as long as we don't lose.
Okay.
Listen, I already did the live stream. It was very long, but here's a condensed version because I know not all of you want to sit through 2 hours of the Senate confirmation hearing, which really was more like 1 hour as it pertained to Jared. It's very annoying that they combine two people, but then have their questions back and forth. Just do them one by one. Allocate an hour to one person and then do the next person. I get it that they have to do more than one at a time, but don't make it out of order because the questions to Mr. Haynes, well, I didn't care about them as much. So Jared also not only had support in person, he had over 40 letters of support submitted, and here's a video showcasing some of those letters. And here was the other, I guess, spicy moment, but again, things for the most part went really well, and Joe at Tegmeyer and I did a little commentary after this, and we agree, we think it's gonna happen, but I thought it was gonna happen last time, but I think it will really happen this time.
So I guess I just want to ask you, what is Project Athena, and do you stand by what is in that document?
Thanks for the question, Senator. So at the time of my previous nomination, moving into a new environment such as government service at a responsibility as great as the leadership of NASA, I had called a draft document that I continued to update based on my interactions with, the briefing leadership at NASA's agency, my interactions with various senators and their staff. Basically, ideas, thoughts on the direction of the agency, research requests. It was always something that was meant to be, refined with actual data should I have been confirmed in it. But I do stand behind everything in the document, even though it was written 7 months ago. I think it was all directionally correct, consistent with prior testimony and my interactions with various senators.
So you're the author of the document?
I am,
Are
Senator.
you the sole author of the document?
I am, Senator.
So I guess the challenge that I have is when you came before this committee a couple months ago, actually in response to the chairman, you said to him, quote, "Senator, I have no intention as of now to say that I would cancel any program. I need to, if I'm confirmed to be getting a job, understand where things are at." And what we had talked about is that if you were confirmed that you would go in, you would allow yourself to be in the job before you make these decisions. You would engage with the NASA employees and others. So when I see in Project Athena comments like calling for a reevaluation of sustained lunar presence, I mean, you said to the chairman today that you're committed to Artemis, committed to an enduring presence on the lunar surface, but then you just tell me right now that you stand behind the document and stand behind, I assume, this statement about reevaluating the sustained lunar presence. So I'm just having trouble understanding what to believe. So do you stand by that comment in that line in Project Athena about reevaluating a sustained lunar presence?
Well, Senator, I mean, it was 62 pages worth of material. So I imagine any one sentence or so can be taken out of context. But in my prior testimony before this committee, I said it was imperative for us to realize our near-term lunar objectives. I think at the time I said, and determine, the scientific, economic, and national security value of being on the lunar surface. I think today I come before you because there's overwhelming clarity within the administration of not only to return the moon before our arrival, but also establish the infrastructure for an enduring presence. So that naturally, 6-7 months is an awful lot of time. But I would say, Senator, there's probably 10 pages within that plan that call for research requests to make sure that you gather the accurate information to inform a definitive plan. But I certainly do stand behind the idea that if anyone's going into a position of great responsibility, it's better to go in with a plan than none at all, sir.
But isn't it better also to have humility in the job and to be able to go and engage the experts and the scientists who have been doing this work? I mean, I don't mind people having a vision and having priorities, but you had told this committee that you would hold off on making up your mind. But the document very much came, and I wasn't trying to take anything out of context. I'm giving you the opportunity to explain it. So like, for instance, you responded to a colleague of mine about the importance of climate science and the role that science is playing, NASA is playing in that way. But in the Project Athena, you say, quote, well, you say NASA should be, quote, taken out of taxpayer-funded climate science business and leave it for academia to determine. That stands in contrast, I feel like, with things that we've heard you say before. So I guess I wanted to ask you, do you stand by that statement of taking NASA out of climate science business?
Well, and Senator, first of all, I completely agree with you, by the way. I think humility is an important quality of leadership. And that's why, again, I would say if it's not 10 pages, it could be 20 pages of the 62 that specifically call for research requests from across the associate administrators, the various subject matter experts to inform a definitive plan. That's throughout the entire document. They're very
here did not seek a request. It was determinative in saying that it should take out, and also in terms of laying out cutting of thousands of civil servant positions. So look, I'm out of time. We will follow up. But as I said, I'm trying to be someone who can work together. I think this needs to be bipartisan going forward. But some of what I saw in that document, so in contrast to things that I heard you say before, at least what you have assured me about, it's okay to say that you changed your mind or that you don't agree with everything that you said in that document. I had expected you to say that, but instead when you come here before us today and say that you stand behind what's in that document, that causes us to have further follow-up here to understand what your positions are.
And Senator, I would welcome any opportunity to get together, and I would happily talk through anything in that plan or that document and give you the rationale behind it, and I'd welcome your feedback. To do this job is going to absolutely take the cooperation with this committee and the Congress.
Just my impression is that it's pretty clear he's going to get confirmed and the president's going to approve it. He will be the NASA administrator. This is, basically just the formality you have to go through. It sounds like additional questions need to be sent in by senators by tomorrow. They respond by the 7th of December. And Senator Cruz said he hopes that this is wrapped up by the end of the year. So we're talking less than 4 weeks, which would be outstanding. And, I'm really for that.
So hopefully Jared is confirmed before the end of the year and we can get him in this position as soon as possible. But make no mistake, he's going to face a lot of challenges as NASA administrator. So thanks so much for watching these highlights. If you liked the video, please leave a comment, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you soon.